Well Rooted is brought to you by Gerard and Associates CPAs. With locations throughout Los Angeles, Gerard and Associates has been guiding entrepreneurs and creatives towards realizing their dreams for over 20 years. Discover how they can support your vision at gerardcpa.com. Hey, it's Haneen. Welcome to another episode of Well Rooted. Today I am joined by Farah Faz, or Farah Faz as I was calling her earlier. She is the founder of Lesh. You've probably also seen her videos on social media where she teaches Arabic through the love of Arabic music. We talk about our culture, identity, Arab pop culture, and not quite fitting in to the diaspora or to our Arab communities and the communities that we are choosing to build now. So without further ado, please welcome Farah onto Well Rooted. Thank you for being here today.
Of course.
Welcome to
Thank
Well
you for
Rooted.
having me.
Yeah, no, I've actually been wanting to speak with you for a while. I really love your content, and we're going to talk about that. But I also love Leshla and this concept that you've come up with,
Thank you.
and you've introduced recently. Please talk to us more about Leshla and what the inspiration was for the brand.
So, Leshla translates to why not in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I went about it a very backwards way because I think typically when people launch a brand, they have slides on slides and slides of like plans and this is the rollout here. I didn't have any of that because prior to Leshla, I was in a creative like plateau. I was teaching Arabi on TikTok for a whole year. So every week I would film 10 videos. I'd put out 10 videos and I loved it. But that was simultaneously while I was in law school. How I did it now, when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God. But I think it was like the excitement.
Yeah.
But then after I graduated, I kind of just hit a plateau. And it really felt like I was doing it because I think it's kind of when you monetize your art or you monetize something you love, it became a job. And although I loved showing up for it, I didn't get excited editing a video or putting something on it. So I remember thinking, okay, I want to make a shirt for myself. So I made a shirt and like I designed it and then I would get compliments on it. And I was like, oh my gosh. One of my favorite words بالعربي is مقدمة,
Mm,
where it's like it's yours, have it, you know? And
yeah.
so I wanted to have like an edeme kind of thing where I had like shirts in the back of my car, and if someone liked my shirt, I'd be like, wait, hold up, actually, it kind of sounds really weird. Like, do you want to come
No,
with me
that's
to the back
actually
of my
really
car?
cute.
Like, do you want to come with me to the back of my car? But it also allowed me to like collaborate with my friends with no objective in mind, no algorithms, no like views and whatever it is.
Hmm.
It was, and honestly, it made me a student again because I think I longed for being a student. I loved being a student in law
Hmm.
school. At the time, I didn't, but when I think back to it, I did. And I was out in downtown LA with my little notes app, like doing research on different shirts because it's also very hard to source 100% cotton.
Really?
Yes, it is unbelievably hard because
Wow.
a lot of things now have polyester.
Or like rayon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was so opposed to that because if I'm not going to wear it, I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah.
So I
100%.
I dropped, it was called Khalas Please,
Hmm.
and I dropped that and people sold it out and I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like, and it was just for fun, but I loved the part of it that allowed me to just create for the sake of creating, you know? And
Yeah.
it was such a plus that people loved it.
Of course.
And then I think I tabled that, right? Like I tabled it. And then one day I was talking to my friend, and this is kind of where the name came from. I was talking to my friend, and she was kind of in between making a decision and kind of had everyone in mind except herself. Like, I think a lot of times you know the decision you want to make, but when you have, like, well, what if this or what if this?
Hmm.
And I remember telling her, Lesh. And in that same conversation, which is ironic, I was telling her how I kind of want to launch a brand, but I don't have a plan. And she goes, didn't you just say Leishla? And I was like, and it just clicked to me.
Hmm.
And I think then I just like no plan, no nothing. And I just like launched it. And to be honest, I think I've learned more about what it means to me as I've gone along. It's very interesting because, like, it's, I think it's put my personal experience into words,
Hmm.
into two words, where it was essentially I think the greatest moments in my life have come when I have just said, why not? You know, even like starting, I think, on TikTok, it came from why not? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it came from like, okay, it's okay. All the noise in your mind, like, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But the brand identity or our mission is essentially kind of goes back to growing up in between worlds where you're always asked questions and not, and questions like, that just emphasize your inability to fit into either side, whether
Yeah.
it's Americans and Arabs. It wasn't just Arabs. Americans asking, why did you pack kusa for lunch? How do I, in first grade, explain what kusa is, And,
If
and you're,
only they knew.
if only they knew. I think if I just gave them one bite, they'd be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, you know what? I take my question back. Or I think within Arabs, I was in Arabic school for the majority of my life. And my dad lives Syria. He always has lived Syria. And I remember I'd get asked questions by these older women. I'm like in, I don't know, like fourth grade, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, why does your dad live Syria? Why are you wearing this? Why are you doing this? And it took me like more than 20 years to realize that the answer is why not? Like, why not push beyond the limits of both cultures? Why
Mm-hmm.
not embrace what it is that they want to emphasize why you don't fit in, like embrace it.
Right.
Because I think the tone, the, what the questions always have in common is an emphasis on your inability to fit in.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
And yeah,
no, I love that whole concept, and I think it's so relatable, not only as an Arab, but as an Arab woman,
of
as just
course.
as yourself growing up here, where yeah, you don't really feel like you fit in,
Yeah.
and then there's like judgment that comes from the side, and then
100%.
judgment, and it's like two different types of judgment that you're dealing
Yes.
with. Yeah.
Yes.
And it is, it is a little heavier on women traditionally as well.
Absolutely.
But I love the idea of Lesh because, as you said before, you can give yourself a million reasons in your head why you shouldn't start something, whether it's content creation or a brand. But you, at the end of the day, chose to like drown all that out and focus on the why not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so you're on the phone with your friend. Your friend's like,
Yes.
Lesh, you have no plan.
No plan.
What do you do after that with no plan?
I think
With
in the moment it like clicked. Like it was just excitement on both ends because I was like, oh my gosh, Lesh,
Mhm.
I didn't even have a brand name.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. And then obviously the excitement withers away. And then it's like, okay, now what? Like, actually, now what do we do?
yeah.
So then, of course, you look for an Instagram name and Leshla is taken.
No way.
Yes, it was taken originally. And I'm like, also, mind you, I think like it could, how it's read, it could be, I think like when I went to get to my manufacturer, he read Lash LA,
Oh.
Lash LA.
Oh, how
Yes.
funny. I
So I'm like,
was
oh
like, this
my
is the
god,
Lash
like
Studio.
he's like, oh, like do you have a lash brand? I'm like, I mean, I wish, but no, I don't. And then I think it was, I think I designed the logo. It's so interesting because when I'm not when I'm supposed to be doing things that are on my to-do list is
Mm,
when I get very creative and very like,
yeah, if I
that's when I
had a nickel.
explore. You know what I mean? Like I had a million things I had to do,
Right.
and I was like, oh wait, you know what? Let me design a logo right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then that is kind of it, slowly but surely kind of came together.
hmm
And yeah, I yeah, I don't even yeah. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I hope if someone's listening to this and they're like, I have this weird, crazy idea, like I don't know if it'll be received well or where to start, but just start.
You never know
You never
until you
know.
do it,
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think like, and it's all it's very cheesy because you always hear that,
hmm
but it's true. Because to be honest with you, I think before Leshla, before I even started my social media journey, I it took a near death experience to start my journey of like just doing. So in 2022, I was crossing the street. I went to go get flashcards. I was studying for law, like a midterm in law school, and then I wake up in the hospital, and I had gotten hit by a car while crossing the street.
Wow.
I know. and well, now I know I have street cred because I can fight a Prius and win, which is great. But like, and I always say that to my friend because she's always been like, I could probably beat you up. She probably can, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I did beat up a
Like I
Prius,
did
you know?
survive death.
Yes. But prior to that, to be honest, I think I put so much weight into getting this degree. I
Mm,
remember thinking, like, I will get this degree and then maybe I will like work on my mental health. I will, pursue my dreams. And it's very valid because law school is you are in your own bubble. This is all you have to do. This is all you can do.
mhm,
And I think it was after my accident that I I think I cried for a month straight after because it was just a sense of gratitude,
mhm,
but I think it gave me a new perspective on life where I like, God forbid, had I not been here, a degree would not have meant anything,
mhm.
and I put so much weight into it, but I also put so much weight into what I think I people expected of me or what people may have thought of me. Like I'd always wanted to do social media. I remember back in like 2009 when YouTube first came out, I was like, I want to do YouTube, but I always was like, no, but that's so weird. Or people say, oh, that's cringe,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think
Everything we do is technically cringe.
every cringe and embarrassing does not exist.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as it. We in ourselves,
I mean,
like
I have a friend,
yeah.
Layla Shakely. She's really great on social media and she gives great advice. One of the things that she talks about is embarrassment is the currency of success. You
Oh,
have to kind of be
absolutely.
willing to embarrass yourself to get to a
Absolutely.
certain point and to grow.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing is, and I think it was the shift in like mindset because when I started making TikToks, I would get people going, and I remember at first I was like, oh my gosh, I hate that people are like, what if, someone I know in my contacts sees my video? Like, I'm like, oh my
Why is
gosh,
that like the biggest fear? Is
it
that someone you
is.
know will see it?
Yes, and then
Yeah.
you know what? I faced my biggest fear, but again, I had a new perspective, and I remember it was like, "Oh, I've seen your," and it was kind of a condescending tone because when you're doing something like that, is not of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say they mean to do it, but it's like,
Right.
"Oh, like I've seen your little TikToks."
Aye.
And it's not nice.
That's
And
not nice.
it's not nice. And it was honestly from a man. So I'm like, you know what? You do an OOTD right now, please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me say, wait, what are you? Yeah, actually, your outfit's not even giving. So, but like, I remember thinking, I think because of my switch in perspective, I was just like, yes, absolutely. Those were my little TikToks,
Yeah.
And like, I think all that is to say, it was my accident, a shift in perspective that like led me to why not, like to Leshla,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm realizing literally just now that I think it was my accident that led me to
Oh my
Leshla. It's
gosh.
crazy.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
I'm glad that we just talked that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think the
Yeah.
more I think there's been no plan, but slowly but surely there's been puzzle pieces that come together into what led me to Leshla.
That's amazing. And
You
I
know?
love and you're just going through the plan and it's falling into place because
Yeah,
you have like the best intention with it as
of
well.
course,
And that's so
absolutely.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that
of
story. That
course.
I mean, I'm just thinking about your poor mother having to like witness like all
Of
of this
course.
or yeah.
And I
And
feel
I
and I feel so bad because in my mind I'm like it was the best day of my life. Like I had a shift. I have the date tattooed right here
oh
and
my gosh.
she was like it was such a terrible
It
day.
was
I'm
the
like
darkest day of her
I was
life.
like I don't remember if I'm being honest, but like very valid.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It just shifted your whole perspective. And I
Yeah.
think, like you knowing early on that you have these other dreams and other goals and other things that you want to accomplish aside from law school, um, I think that was like this untapped potential that lived in the back of your head. Because
Absolutely.
I think that also, just as just as a woman, but also as a human, like my biggest fear is untapped potential.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, just going
Yes.
through life and doing all the things we need to do, getting the degree,
Yes.
doing, starting a family, getting the
Yeah.
career, and then it's like, "Okay, but what about all these
Like
other things?"
regret.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the regret.
Absolutely.
And Leshla is sort of like the antagonist of that idea, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
it challenges that entire
Yeah.
stereotype.
Yeah, because when you think back to not having done something versus having done something and not succeeding at it, you still learn something,
100%.
you know?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, I should have. Well, I
Mhm.
didn't really work, but I learned something and I put
Yeah.
myself out there or I took the chance. And that in itself is something to be proud of, even if it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, you know?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it makes you more confident to
Absolutely.
try the next thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did it, you failed, move on.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Let's get into your content creation,
Yes.
because it is so okay, everyone I think I know follows you
I'm
or
honored.
or
I'm
has, like,
honored.
shared or liked a video of yours because you really are out there. First of all, you're very compelling on screen, like, you do put out good
I'm getting
content.
shy right now. I don't
No,
know if
no,
the
don't get
camera can
shy.
see.
Don't
Like
get
good
shy.
shy, good
But you
shy.
are, because
Yes.
okay, I don't think people who haven't created content realize how hard it is to create content. It is, even if
Absolutely.
it's just your phone, it is actually very, intimidating.
Absolutely.
So, and you do it really well, but you're also educating. Like, there's a mission behind it. Talk to us about the first time you put a TikTok or a video out there, what it was, and what came after.
I It's so interesting because did not want to I absolutely did not want to make Arabic content. It
Really?
was my mom. Yes. I wanted to do OOTDs and that's what I was doing. I would put
Hmm.
a funky song. I love music and I would like just do OOTDs,
Hmm.
because as I had mentioned, um my accident led to 3 months of no work and no school. I had to go on educational leave because I was in the hospital for 5 days, and you can't miss that many days of classes.
Oh my
And then I
goodness.
also had to go on like work leave. So I was just sitting. Like I was just like,
Hmm.
And I remember I started making fashion videos. And my mom was like, make Harabi videos. I'm like, no, I don't, I can't, and I think I realize now it's because I've never felt like I fit into what it meant to be like a Arab woman.
Mm.
I spent the majority of my life pushing away from my culture because to be a Arab woman is to be X, Y, and Z. And I, maybe had the Y or the Z, but I didn't have the whole thing. And I think I feared putting myself out there and like people, being like, you're not Arab. Or I don't know what it was, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think it was maybe the judgment, which
Hmm.
is very prevalent in our culture.
Yeah.
And I had put out a video and it was like an ironic video. I think that the sound was like no no no, right? And it
Hmm.
was like me holding a wine glass and it was like Muslims when you ask them if they want pepperoni pizza and they're
Mm-hmm.
drinking
They're
wine,
right,
right?
right. And they're like, no.
And that ended up on Muslim TikTok, okay? Which honestly I feel like is a like you grow from that
Hmm.
because I was like, "Oh my gosh," like it that blew up and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like I was nervous. I was like anxious because exactly why I didn't want to do Adobe content
Yeah.
is what happened. So I
Yeah.
remember I told my mom, I was like, "Oh my gosh, mama, all this stuff." And she goes, "Okay. I don't know if I don't want to cuss, but like
You
maybe you could blur this out." She was just like, "Latlizik," right? She was just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It clicked to me and I was like, "Wait a minute, hold up. If my mom, because usually people fear like something getting back to family a lot of
Right.
times, but I was like, wait, my mom doesn't care. My mom's supporting me. Like, it's okay." And I think that is what catapulted me into making Arabic content because even after that, I made, a few videos and I had a lot of people resonate with one video. And I was like, wait a minute, beyond all the judgment or not feeling like I fit in,
Hmm.
there are also people that feel that way. Did not know that. And I think that is what really like made me get into content creation was realizing that I'm not alone,
Hmm.
like which obviously we are not, but we don't know,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. We don't know unless we share it and we talk about it.
Yeah.
And anytime you put yourself out there on social media, you have to be willing to accept the negative
Of
with the
course.
positive. There's always
Absolutely.
going to be negative no matter what. So that was the first video, went viral on Muslim TikTok of all
Yes.
places.
Yes.
And then after that, it just sort of built that confidence in you to move forward
Absolutely.
and just keep putting out
Because I was like, I
content.
survived this. Like, it's okay. Like, it was the craziest. I was like, guys, it was just a joke. I promise. I think I've archived it since then. Just
Yeah,
like, well, I think I archived it then because I archived, unarchived, archived, unarchived. I was like, no, it's okay. No, no, no. And
right.
I think from there I started translating Arabi songs
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing comments like, "Oh my gosh, I've never known what this song means." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, okay, this is fantastic. I love Arabi music.
Mm-hmm.
Let me, because there are a lot of Arabi songs I've sung for years, never knew what they meant.
Same.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Same.
And so that made me like, I'm like, wait, actually, what does ahwinos mean? What does, like,
Yeah. Or
actually,
even a hasmaka. I
a
remember
hasmak?
asking my
Yes,
mom, I was like, what does that mean? And it being like in an Egyptian dialect, obviously
absolutely.
it's already a little foreign for us.
Yes,
And I had to have my mom, like, I remember asking my mom, what does this mean? What does hawanos mean? And why is she doing that with her hand?
yes.
We don't know.
We don't know, but we're enjoying. I think we're like too caught up in how like the rhythm and it's there. Arabi music is absolutely my favorite music. So you're caught up in the dancing and the hips are.
Hmm.
I think it's your hips are like you're focused on the hips and not
Yeah.
on the mind of like what
You're
it
like, let me
means.
just keep moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think that is what I started like translating, and then I shifted into Arabi where like I had people ask questions like, wait, what does I've heard people say um, like best, I think it was a lyric, and I was like best, and someone said, "Wait, I thought best means this," because you know how a lot of times Arabic words mean different
Yeah.
things, or like even khalas. Well, not it's not khalas. I'm trying to think of a word.
Is it
Um,
like bus and bus?
yes,
Okay.
something like this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute, actually, and then I got into teaching Arabic, which allowed me to refine my Arabic and get back into that,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
although I'm a native speaker, I'm not like at the time I wasn't always practicing. So I
Right.
was like, wait a minute, actually, like this was also a chance for me to be a student again of
Mm-hmm.
Arabic, and yeah,
No,
yeah,
I've learned a lot from your videos because, as you said, I don't think we stop and really take apart and unpack the lyrics to think about
yes,
what they mean.
yes,
And that's when you realize how poetic the language is as
absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
helps. And that's like for us, like growing up in the diaspora, I remember learning Arabic while listening to music.
yeah,
And even now, because it's hard raising kids in this country
of
and
course.
to expect them, even if you put them in Arabic school,
Yeah,
just to expect them to just be fluent in Arabic. And so sometimes I'll try to just remember to play in the car. Like my husband will remind me, he'll just be like, at least put Arabic music in the car
yes,
so the kids are hearing it because where else are they really going to listen to it?
of
And
course.
it does help you learn.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of like non-Arabs that have that you feel have been influenced by your videos that have learned anything?
Yes. And I think I actually just had a non-Arab that was marrying a Syrian DM me and I helped her write her vows in
Wow.
Arabic.
Wait, that's
And
so special.
it is the most and whether it's that or I've had people, I think it was like maybe not this Christmas, or it's not Christmas yet, like maybe Christmas 2023, where it was also a non-Arab dating an Arab asking me about like buying their partner a gift and
Mm,
like um and like the aspects of Arabic culture to like incorporate into it or something like this.
mhm,
But a lot of non-Arabs, like I think our culture and our language is so beautiful.
mhm.
So you can't help but be curious to learn about it. And I think for me, a huge part of like my Arabi lessons were to, I would not say dumb it down because I feel like it's such a complex, it does not respect the language saying it like that, but to simplify the language where it doesn't seem as intimidating.
Right.
And I think that is where it's invited non-Arabs to learn because now they know words beyond Habibi, and
Mhm.
like because it's not as intimidating to them,
Right.
Yeah.
And we sort of yeah, and learning more than Habibi, as you said, because right now I feel like there's like this wave of like Arab culture and music
Yes.
that's encompassing the
Absolutely.
world. And
Yes.
we're hearing Habibi and Yallah. There's such common phrases.
Yes.
That's why I really like how you're getting like these phrases that we commonly use
Yeah.
and really using them um, as like the highlights of your collection
Yeah.
because
Of
they,
course.
even like they are poetic and it's in their
Yes.
own way. And we have so many of those little phrases that we throw in our
Of
day to day.
course. Yeah.
We don't even realize. But what like what are you most excited about maybe teaching people more about or incorporating more into the content that you make?
I think big picture, what I'm
Mhm.
excited about, and it kind of like goes into my culture too, is kind of how you just mentioned there is a wave of Arabs finally having the mic of how we want to
Mhm.
be presented. Because mind you, my family came to the States 2 months prior to 9/11. So not only were we assimilating, but how I saw our people presented at such a young age, that is, I think, what made me shy away from my culture initially. Because if, and I think it was, I'm sure, out of like, I remember my mom, it was kind of out of fear of like not wanting anything to happen to my brother and I or her, where it's like,
Mhm.
we don't necessarily, we don't, not to say we don't take pride, but we don't like say we're Arab just for
Right.
safety
Of
purposes, right?
course.
And I think that coming to the US during that time and like slowly but surely, kind of, you would see a little bit here and there, maybe
Mhm.
like, but not as much as we see now, where it is something I never imagined to happen. I truly, like, I think even, and I don't say this, I think Dubai chocolate's kind of like, okay, like it's been overdone, but
Yeah.
even that, although annoying, because it's like kind of expanded in the way it has, there's people that have like mixed feelings about it.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, 20 years ago, you would not have seen Dubai chocolate. You would
No.
not have seen, like, because when someone thinks Dubai chocolate, they also think, okay, wow, like, what other Arab pastry, like what other Arab sweets are
Mhm.
there? Wait, knafe, where can I get
Right.
this?
Yes.
It's so I think that wave that we are experiencing right now is, and having that mic and amplifying just our existence and our culture
Mhm.
is something so beautiful. And I think being a part of that in any way is, I think, what I don't, I actually literally, I think I got so passionate about what we were talking about that I forgot what the question even was.
Like about like the Arab wave and how like you would have never imagined like Dubai chocolate to be a
Yes.
thing, and now it's a thing. But
Yes.
and to your point, you are right because now like at Costco they have Dubai chocolate and it'll
Yes.
say like kutaifi dough on it
Yes.
with like or kanafa.
Yeah.
So like now people are more aware of those
Of
terms.
course.
But like and we were talking about how we're excited about this Arab wave that's
Wave. Of
happening and what
course.
how you kind of want to move forward with your brand and your
Yes.
content
Yeah.
and how it's inspiring it is. It's really exciting to be able to go to like a party or anywhere and hearing Arab influence in the music,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like I
Yes.
feel like that's so exciting and to see people celebrate it.
Yes.
We were at I was at some party. I was somewhere and there was a Turkish DJ that was DJing. Mahmoud Orhan
Wow.
was DJing and he has that the song El Ain Mulayatin. It's like from the
Yes. Yes.
Levant,
Of
right?
course.
So he played the Turkish version. And
Wow.
anytime like you're in a crowd of people like that and
Yeah.
everyone turns up as soon as they hear like the Middle Eastern music or the
Yes.
Arabi music is
Yes.
insane. It's insane how much people appreciate it now.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it's such a
Absolutely.
celebration.
Yes.
So I feel like, as you said, we have the mic as well.
Yeah.
What what is your advice to people who have the mic and they want to maybe share their own narrative? They want to reclaim their own narrative in some way, and they don't really quite know first maybe the identity that they want to project
Yes.
into the world, and they also are probably freaked out about, the judgment.
Of course. And I think the complexities of our culture, like, it is very intimidating. Let's say you kind of push away from your roots for a very long time. It's very
Yeah.
intimidating getting back into it because where do you start?
Yeah.
Whether it's language, whether it's like different aspects of culture, judgment as well plays a
Mhm.
huge, role in it.
Mm.
But I think at the end of the day, you never know until you take the first step in any way, whether it's,
Right.
like language or whether it's, learning how to make, knafe or something, or maybe even Dubai chocolate. Why not, but,
Mhm.
or Lesh. But yeah, I think it's you never know until you just do it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
yeah,
You gotta just do it.
yeah,
Let's go back to our culture a little
yes,
bit more because
absolutely.
it is one that's full of judgment.
Yes.
And as you said, that was a really good point. I think a lot of us went through the same experience that you did. Like
Yeah,
us post 9/11 kids that
of
grew up here
course.
in the diaspora, we all kind of went through this um, era of trying to push away our culture
Yes.
for survival
Of
purposes,
course.
yes.
Yeah.
To try to assimilate, to try to humanize ourselves and relate to others who were viewing us in a very negative lens.
Yeah.
So we did what was what was required of us, I
Of
think, to
course.
survive, right? How old were you, by the way, whenever 9/11?
I think was I 4?
You were a baby. You
I
were
was a baby
so you actually grew up right like in the aftermath
in
of
the
that.
aftermath
Yeah.
and didn't that was when I was learning English. That was my introduction to America, like during that time.
And when do you remember, was it after the accident that you really began embracing your culture more, or were you sort of warming up to it as you were going through high school and college? Because for me personally, I do remember once I was getting into high school and college,
Yeah.
really trying to actually make Arab friends and be
Yes.
around more Arabs.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to that, I just was not, I feel like, as involved in the community or
Yeah.
culture at all. Do you remember being intentional with that and trying to
I think I don't remember the exact moment, but I know the person that inspired it. So I actually spent the minute I started driving when I was 16, 15, I remember telling my mom, I am not going to one more Hazime. I don't want to be honest.
mm,
And my mom, again, is very like, she's not a regular Arab mom. She's a cool mom. She's like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, I don't really care. Fully because I just felt like there was so much judgment undertone, whether it was through the Khaltos or the Khaltos' daughters. I
Right.
never felt like I fit in, and like any question or any interest in my life felt like it came with an undertone of judgment or
Mm-hmm.
you're going to talk about how this later. And mind you, I was a teenager, right? Like
Yeah.
I was a teenager, and then I think through college and yeah, through high school and college, I did not really like proudly claim my Arab identity.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to law school, I met my now best friend and lawyer. Um, and her name's Sylvia. She is Syrian, and she is the first like Arab friend that I had like as an adult that was just like the exact opposite of the Arab, women or girls that I
Yeah.
kind of feared judgment of growing up that like I pushed away because of them. She was the exact opposite of that. Where I started, we primarily talked to each other in Arabic. And
Oh,
so
good.
it brought me back to speaking in Arabic all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She's also Syrian. Like it was it was that friendship, and I always tell her this. Like it was that friendship that allowed me to, like claim remember different aspects of my culture that I had left behind because
Mm-hmm.
she too, like would make a mention of something and she too experienced that. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, wait, I remember that. Wait, what do you mean?" And I think it was that friendship that brought me back to like my roots and my language. And yeah, I'm gonna send her this and
That's so
like, yeah,
sweet.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we'll
be
clip
like,
that.
yeah,
We'll
or I
clip
have to
that for
clip it and be
her.
like, hey, this is, yeah,
No, well,
yeah,
all it takes is that one friend sometimes.
truly,
Yeah.
truly.
But I relate a lot to the Azimas and the Khaltos
Yes.
and that and especially like I kind of grew up also with a single Arab mom,
Wow.
and it's like you do get I'm like, just examined in a different way.
Of course.
And, and it's usually most often by other women. I read
Yes.
something not too long ago that patriarchy exists because of the women that allow it to
Of
exist
course.
sometimes. Like the way that we judge each other, the way that, and it'll be something like that really hurts them as well,
Yeah.
but they're kind of helping uplift whatever it is keeping that patriarchy or that
Absolutely.
judgment alive in our culture
Yes.
by participating in it,
Yes.
right? And sometimes those are the most judgmental people.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, how do you think, or what do you think we should have more of conversation wise in our communities
Yeah.
so that we don't continue that? I feel like generations moving forward are kind of like done with that, but
Yes.
what do you think we should have more of, or what would you like to see change in terms of our communities?
I think it's two things. One, a common theme of, the women that do judge other women is the quote, "Oh, I could never,"
Mm,
you know, versus, and that in itself, like saying I could never, let's say I see someone, wearing a certain outfit, okay? It's a
mhm.
bold outfit. It's a bold outfit. There is a, "Oh, I could never," where it's like, I'm looking down on you for wearing that,
Right.
versus, "I wish I could." You know what I like? That is
Yeah.
such a different, like, I see a woman bold outfit and she looks fabulous. And maybe that is not something I could wear because it's projection. I could never is not you being like, like, I think it's kind of projecting like I'm better than this person because I'm not wearing that.
Mm,
That is not classy. That's not whatever. No, it's because you can't get yourself. It's a bold statement or a bold decision. Oh, I could never do that.
right.
No, you probably wish you could,
Mm,
So I
that's
think
what you
it's
mean.
that's what you mean, but I
Yeah.
think it's just I think this is not even just the Arab like world. I think it's just society as a whole. I think
Hmm.
it's to give women more grace. And in the Arab world, it's to set this like give women the same grace men are given. Where when
Mm,
you think about it, how, you know, it's there's the stereotype of like uh like there's a sister and a brother, and the sister has all of these different things that she has to abide by, and the brother does the same thing, and it's like, oh, he's just a boy or
hmm.
whatever it is. That is like a way deeper thing, but I think in terms of like moving forward with less judgment is having spaces that we are seeing pop up a lot where the focus is not about the hype. It's not viewing others in the it's a lot of times like focused on art or creativity. A lot of the collectives that
Hmm.
we have popping up focus on that, whether it's, events that put on music or this or that, where people come together and they're there to celebrate the music. They're there to celebrate the aspect of our culture. And like you said, I think this generation moving on, like they they tend to leave judgment at the door. And I
Hmm.
think that is such a beautiful thing, and very needed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And it's so nice to be in those spaces now. As so,
absolutely.
and I'm sure you can relate, like having experienced like judgment and that type of environment and now feeling like you belong in a space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's really nice. I mean, I was in middle school when 9/11 happened,
yeah,
so like a bit older than you, but like the becoming of age in that,
yeah.
like, in that
Wow,
environment,
of course, and being, I think, aware, because I
being
was a kid, so
aware.
I was not, how was
Yeah.
that, how
So
was,
you grew up in the world after it, kind of,
yes,
that kind of preceded it, and then, or yeah, preceded it. And then
yeah,
I, was already, yeah, coming of age.
wow,
Dude, I did a 2 months after 9/11, we had like biography reports that we had to present. I did a
yeah.
biography on the Prophet Muhammad, like in Texas, by the way.
Oh my
And I brought a
gosh,
Quran to my school because when it's like you're just surrounded by misinformation about your
of
people,
course,
and I I think that's like so in some ways radicalized me like in a healthy way
of
to where I
course,
was like, oh, I need to find out more about my people because actually like some of the smartest, kindest, most amazing people I do know happen to be Arab and Muslim and they're not
absolutely,
actually what you're saying they are.
yeah,
And I think that kind of lit a fire on me from a young age.
wow,
And so I think moving forward, like high school, college, and that doesn't mean that like the every space I was in, I felt welcomed, maybe in an Arab sense,
yeah,
but also, as you said, like sometimes in like the non-Arab
yeah,
sense, you don't really feel like you belong
of course,
100%.
especially post 9/11.
Yeah. Like we're just fighting
Absolutely.
demons that weren't
Yes.
there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's
How was it received?
silence.
Wow.
I remember it was like silence, and I remember like my teacher just like, okay, like moving on.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I remember getting a good grade on it because I did the work,
Yeah.
but it's just like this innate sense to like prove, like this is
Yes.
this is actually not who we are,
Yeah.
and maybe you should learn more about us and
Yeah.
let me like reclaiming our voices in some way. And I think it's interesting that from what I can tell, everyone I've spoken to has sort of echoed some sense of that, where it's
Of
like,
course.
reclaiming our narratives. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting that we all have that in us.
Yeah.
We've all grown up
Absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you feel like a sense of like, I mean, well, you do such a great job of educating on the Arabic language and in turn
Thank you.
educating an Arab culture. So do you feel some sort of responsibility with your content and projecting a more accurate representation of Arab as well? Or is that a heavy load?
I don't think it's a, I think, I wouldn't say a responsibility. I would say it's because I think responsibility makes it sound heavy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I think it's an honor to hold that said responsibility
Mm-hmm.
though, because I think like it's I'm trying to find the word. It's Can you say the question again? I'm so
I
sorry.
don't
I'm
even
trying to
remember what the question was.
do I feel like a responsibility to I think uphold or to like
To maybe like
educate?
educate like in a more accurate sense of what Arab culture is. And that is like a really serious question. So maybe it
Yes.
is a little too heavy, but I would say like also just the fact that you do it in such a positive,
Yeah.
like like your videos are really positive. Like the way
Yeah.
you speak, you're a very like you have like a very soothing voice.
Thank you.
Like the things that you choose to focus on are like really beautiful examples of our language
Yeah.
and our culture. Um, like is there like an intention behind that where you're like I'm going to highlight the beauty of my culture
Yes.
and
I
my
think
identity, or is it simply like this is, or I mean you're kind of doing both where you're building this community but you're also
I think it's a passion. I don't think it's like I I remember I had made a series and this is when I felt like I had made a series where I was educating, and through educating, I was learning about the Palestinian people. Where I remember I would sit down and I would like be researching as if I was writing a paper. I would gather this information, I would send it over to my Palestinian friend and say, hey, like, do you feel represented in this research that I've gathered? And then I'd shoot the film, the content, and then
Mhm.
I'd send her that, you
Mm.
know? And I think during that time, responsibility is a great way to put it because, to be honest with you, I, for a very long time, was doing a lot of that where I was researching and I was, giving a lot of time to making these videos. But I think because I felt like it was my responsibility to do so, but I think after doing it for a year, including Arabic, that is kind of when I creatively plateaued because of that responsibility feeling like heavy. Not
Mhm.
heavy as in like I couldn't do it. I think it was just I always want to give whatever I'm educating on the most time I can in terms of research and to give it its like the respect it deserves, you
Mhm.
know? I think at the center of it, it's passion. I think it's passion because when I'm, like talking to my friends and I learn about something or I'm reminded,
Mhm.
I'm reminded about something within Arab culture or like that's a norm and that's something we just do. And I'm like, wait, actually that's so true. That's like this. I'm like, that would be a really cool video to highlight because I'm sure even if one person resonates or that like sparks nostalgia in the same way it did
Mhm.
for me in that moment, like I I wouldn't say I think there needs to be another way for responsibility because responsibility can sound like it's like not owed. I think it's is it passion? I'm trying to think of what the word.
You know what? I get what you're saying because you already have like this amazing platform and I
Yeah.
admire that you used it in a responsible way.
Yeah.
And I you probably felt like a duty because of the platform you had to do that.
Absolutely.
And I like kudos to you. Like I'm so proud of you for doing that because there
Yeah.
are so many that have great platforms
Yeah.
and choose not to.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that you did, but I think it's also smart in your sense just to keep you creative and
Yes.
maybe in tune with your passions that you also are focusing on other things as well because we are also more than our suffering as Arab and we
Yes.
have so much to contribute to
Yeah.
culture and to society. So to be able to sort of step back and be like, I need to recharge here and I need to like
Yes.
get those creative juices flowing again is
Yes.
also a responsible thing to do
Yeah.
on your part.
I think and it felt like whether it was educational videos like language or about our culture, I I think a year passed and I did not make one video. I could not get myself to
Mm.
sit down to do it. I don't know what it was. And it was something I was so passionate about for a whole year. For a whole year, every Thursday I would shoot literally a list.
Wow.
If I can get 10 videos done, amazing. And then I spend that Friday to Sunday editing those 10 videos. And mind you, I didn't realize how long it took me to edit those videos until I was on a plane ride from Cairo to Paris, just 4 hours. In those 4 hours, I edited one video.
No way.
I swear. And I think in the midst of doing it, I'm passionate, I'm excited, I'm like picking all these things I don't realize. And I think it was a year of that that kind of led me to like just creatively plateauing. I just like, because I think especially when you show up and you're like talking about something, you need to be interested in talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. You need to be like, like, and it's not even just about the creative aspect of it. If you want to teach about something, you need to have put in time to learn about it too, and then
Mm.
sit down and like, and I think it was after a year of doing that consistently that I just plateaued. And I'm hoping to kind of like, I do film videos now. I think it's just like you said, I watered that plant a lot and I still water her a bit here and there, but like now I'm watering other plants, which would
Yeah.
have never existed had that plant
Yeah,
not
and
been there
what's really
first.
smart, like you mentioned earlier in the episode, you did it a little backwards with how when you started Lesh,
Yeah.
but I would say that you did it exactly as you should have done it because you were able to grow this great community online.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the hardest things to do is to have this sort of distribution network for whatever is to come next.
Absolutely.
And you have that. And I feel like with that, you can do so much.
Yeah.
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 Let's take a step back really
Yes.
quick. You are Syrian. Let's share,
Absolutely.
talk to us a little
Proudly.
bit about your roots.
It's actually, I believe, the year anniversary tomorrow since the liberation of Syria.
Tomorrow.
I don't know
Wow.
if it's today or tomorrow. What is today? Tomorrow's the
Today's the
8th?
6th. So on Monday?
I think it's the 8th or the 7th.
That's incredible. It's already been a
I know,
year.
I know. I got a tattoo last year right here that says المستقبل
Oh,
for it. Yes, but I'm very proud of being Syrian. Extremely.
have you been back? Do you have plans to go visit?
I'm hoping to go next year.
Okay.
I've not been, next year will be 17 years since I've been back home.
Wow.
I was
That's going to
born,
be so
yeah, I was
emotional.
born there. Absolutely. I think about it and I cry. Because
Oh,
I think for a whole week after, like, I think for a whole week after Syria was liberated, and mind you, this is, it was very interesting because it's okay for people to celebrate. There are nuances to it, of course. But people, and I think in the midst of celebrating, and it was three generations, it was me, my grandparents, and my mom celebrating something we never thought could be possible. And it wasn't disregarding the future and what could be, but it was celebrating something we didn't think to be possible. And I remember for like a whole week, I was like paused. I was like, this is something we never thought to be possible. And inshallah, that leads into a free Palestine because we never, for years, we were saying free Syria way
yeah.
back, you know? And so it was so emotional because it was like something that we never thought could happen happened in our lifetime. And inshallah, next it's Palestine,
Mm-hmm.
and I like it. Yeah, I think I need to celebrate tomorrow. I don't know how to really celebrate the liberation
Yeah.
of Syria, but I think like getting emotional on a podcast
No,
is a
you
great
just you
way.
just gave me goosebumps
Yeah,
because about a year ago, like I would say last November,
yeah,
I interviewed Nasser Reyes, who's also Syrian,
yes,
and we at the end of the episode, I remember us talking about inshallah a free Syria and then
yes,
a free Palestine. Like we
yes.
both said that. Little did we know we'd get a free Syria.
Surya, yes,
Yeah, not too long after.
absolutely. And I think it like reignited hope for a lot of people,
Hmm.
especially Syrians, because like when you kind of just like settle the idea of maybe never returning home, you lose hope because it's like where can the hope come from? And then that happens and it reignites like I could not explain the feeling that it was. And I really, inshallah, hope the Palestinian people get to experience that and we get to witness that in our lifetime.
I hope
Truly.
so too, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And to your point,
Yeah.
when you see something that you never imagined you'd ever see, even
Yeah.
the protests for Palestine,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's something that we've always, as Arab, have always known is it
Yes. But
exists.
internationally, people to know,
Yeah,
wow.
and to see the flag, be and the kufiyas. People walk down the street here wearing
Absolutely.
kufiyas now.
Yes.
I never in a million years imagined I'd ever see this.
Me too.
So that tells us already that we're in the right direction, inshallah, and
Absolutely.
there's more,
Yes.
freedom to come their way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we are making strides, and it's such a crazy time to be Arab
Yeah.
American and to be
Absolutely.
Syrian American and to be
Yeah.
witnessing this history, to be Palestinian American.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very exciting. And it's sort of taken these like other cultural movements and made it bigger as well. Like you
Yeah.
said, I feel like now we have more spaces where we belong than ever
Yes.
before. We
Absolutely.
have, just amazing creatives like yourself who are just like creating these spaces and creating brands that really speak to us.
Yeah.
Um, what are you excited about moving forward with Lesh? Like, where do you want to see it going?
We are actually um, dropping a new collection next week at
Oh,
For Your Viewing Pleasure.
oh, okay. Yes, I'll be at that
Yes,
event, inshallah.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I'm so excited because we hope to. So I think starting Lishla off, it was doing apparel,
Mhm.
but I never wanted it to be just apparel. To be honest, it was again back to the Muqaddamah thing. I made a shirt, people like it. I love gift giving is also my love language. And every package I've sent out, I do write a note, and I get so excited because I'm like, like it's. I feel like I'm giving a gift every time someone orders something and I send it out. But I think initially it was kind of like, I've built this following, but does that generate to people trusting me to buy something I've created? And that is kind of where the shirts came in, where it's like, you know, um, do you guys trust the quality like, and the time that I will put into that, that I've put into researching and all this stuff. And I
Mhm.
think when, Lishla or like prior to Lishla, it sold out, I was like, okay, this is great to know
Mhm.
that, like they trust me to teach them Arabic, to put on to Arabi songs and to buy a product from me, like, and that meant a lot to me. And, like we dropped other collections. To be honest, I think Lesha in the beginning was just a place that I can just create and like put things on shirts that I would want to wear
Mhm.
and to now I can't really give away half of my I think one of the first collections I like gave away probably 15 shirts left and right just because I wanted
Oh,
to.
wow. Yeah.
Because I wanted to. Like I always had them in the back of my
Yeah, yeah.
car and like now my business partner's like absolutely not. Like there's like
You're
profit
like, "This
margins and
is a
this is a
business."
business and it will always be a passionate like it will always be a passion project for me to work creatively but also to inspire, to platform and to create and bring on people to do that because a lot of times like people just need the push if they're
Mhm.
creatives, and my brother actually is the true artist of my family. He is the fanan. He
Oh.
he just made these leather shoes and he does it just for himself.
Mhm.
He learned soldering, I think. What is it called? Soldering? Like it's like bending brass and
Oh,
he's made
wow.
this beautiful brass thing and like he is the true artist in the family, but he has never wanted to monetize
Mm.
his like people would be like you should sell this,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? And so for the next collection, essentially we're bringing him on as a designer and giving him the hey, like let us know what you need. What are you thinking?
Mhm.
And like this is how much you can spend it, go crazy,
Yeah.
and just creatively create. You're not necessarily monetizing. You're having a fun, like you're just putting your
Yeah.
art out there, and we'll just shoot it and like highlight it. And that is what I really hope to do, where it's like we inspire people to essentially, like tap into their creative, whatever means that is, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're a fashion designer, whether you're a music artist, whatever it is, if we can help Arab creatives like platform or like put our people on, and make it feel less intimidating. Because
Yeah.
also, like, for example, as like even t-shirts themselves, the process to get a shirt made is so intimidating, where
Mm-hmm.
even if someone goes, I want to make this, but hold up, no, that's too much. Let me back up.
Right.
I want Lesh to kind of come and be the, hey, like, give me
I
your hand.
love this so much. Like hearing you talk about it, I'm getting more and more excited. This is a really, really great idea.
Thank you.
And and I love that it's sort of like uplifting because we're so full of creativity
Absolutely.
community wise. And
Yes.
a lot of people are very intimidated from the business side of things,
Yes.
right? Kind of like your brother, Mitch, who maybe not intimidated, but he rather focus on just the creative aspect.
I think he makes it for himself, because it's like the minute you put numbers in,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not as fun. But it, like like I was telling you earlier, when I was giving my friends shirts left and right, it was so fun because I love gift giving. But then when you think about it, it is a
Yeah.
business. That is where it does take the essence of it.
Right.
You know
But also we owe it to ourselves to build those businesses, to build
exactly.
to and also not just build the business because we're so, we have the potential to create such great things,
Yeah.
but also, yes, this is for sale and yes, this is my price and
Yes.
we as a community need to a support
Yeah.
other Arab and Middle Eastern businesses,
Yes.
but also we need to like as you said, a lot of people don't know what goes into creating a t-shirt. There's an entire process. There's
Absolutely.
a cost to the material. We need
Yes.
to be respectful of that
Yeah.
and pay as we would for non-Arab and non-MENA
Yeah.
businesses. And sometimes in our communities, there's sort of like this thought process of like, oh, like, well, we're also like really good at like negotiating.
Haggling.
Yeah, and
Yes.
haggling. And it's like,
Absolutely.
no, 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 because we need to treat our own businesses and our
Yes.
community members as we would someone outside of our community.
Yeah.
So good for you for focusing on the business aspect. I think more people need to take notes and be
Yeah.
more serious about
Absolutely.
being founders and being
Yes.
brand founders and business owners. It's
Yeah.
really important, and that's how we can sort of propel change in our
Yes.
communities.
I love this take because if I'm being so honest, it is my business partner that like fully, because I lead with passion, and
Mm-hmm.
passion does not have numbers within it, right? So I've always
Right.
said she is the bones, I am the
Mm-hmm.
organs. Where it's like I will, and it's so funny because she's a very matter of fact person.
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Sarah. So Sarah, if you're watching this, she's a very matter of fact person. So when I come to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine this, this, this? She goes, well, you know what? Hold up, the return on this, or like how long this takes, and I'm like, oh God, the business side, like it's not fun, but it's like
Yeah.
it's a balance of both, which I'm so so happy to have, because it's like I want to always lead with one intention, but also passion.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when you do like like make something that you're passionate about into a business, it can kind of like lose the like I don't
You lose like the fun
the
because
fun
it's
of
more
it.
serious.
It's
There are
more
numbers
serious.
attached.
Absolutely.
There are like specific goals and that you have to
Yes.
meet, and
Yes.
that's yeah, it is
Yes.
definitely a learning process, but it's really smart that you have someone to sort of balance that out.
Yes.
And it's very um like what is it called when you're like self-aware? Like you know that you kind of need like that other person to like move forward with you in the
Absolutely.
business.
I know my strengths, and I'm never one to shy away from being like, this is something I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, I think one of the coolest things about like people generally is when they don't know something and they'll go, I have no clue, versus they pretend to know, or they,
Yes.
and I've
Yes.
never been, I don't mind. They always say, what is the saying? Like, you always, you want to be, you never want to be the smartest person in the room,
Mhm.
right? I don't know how that applies here, but it's like, I think I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses,
Right.
and even in terms of like, let's say, that's kind of what inspired bringing on a designer for
Mhm.
our next collection and kind of moving forward, where it's like, I love fashion, but I am not a fashion designer.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know your strengths and you know where
Exactly.
your weaknesses are.
Absolutely.
And you have this vision of building a brand that's going to be sustainable and grow. And
Yeah.
so you're filling in those
Yes.
pain points, and that's
Yes.
what a founder does. Like
Yeah.
that's great. I want to really quick wrap up. You are very like there's a lot of influence from I would say Arab pop culture and a
Yes.
lot of what you do. Is there like a specific music video or song or celebrity that really had like a lasting influence on you?
I absolutely, this is one of my favorite questions, actually, that you're asking me today. No one ever asked this question. Um, so why I love Arabi music so much and why I post about it so much is because in the midst of me pushing away from my culture for a very long time, Arabi music is the one thing that always remained. And it always brought me a sense of nostalgia of like summers in Syria, you know,
Hmm.
and it was specifically the like Y2K Arabi era, like Arab music era. And I remember I think it was in 2006.
Hmm.
And it was Haifa Wehbe. She had a music video and it was called Mush Adra Stanna.
Okay.
And in the music video, she looks absolutely fabulous as always, but like she's coming out of the water, she's wearing these micro shorts, like she's like risque, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, mind you, like this is me visiting home from like the US where we have like the Y2K era, like Britney Spears,
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z. So I'm like I love those women. So seeing like that, but in Arabi, I was like, ah. And then in the background, I just hear, of course, discourse of like, yee, like,
Yeah.
shuf hey, like, muma'ud, like all this stuff. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm sure, and I was a kid, so I don't know how like, I don't think I thought about this exactly then, but I think down the line, that is why I was like, this is so incredible. Because even though there's so much ridicule that is attached to just this music video, but also Haifa Wahbe's identity,
Hmm.
she has always pushed the boundaries. And that is why she is like I believe if I'm not mistaken like the first Arab pop star.
Hmm.
And I remember in that moment I was like, what are you guys going on about? Like this is fabulous. This is amazing and I think it's like that is why I love the Y2K Arabi music so much because even Elissa, for example, her first music video, which kind of like came with a lot of ridicule, it was Baddi Doob,
Hmm.
and she was wrapped in a sheet in her music video. She was, I think, 28. This was like her first thing, and it she was met with so much ridicule, which could have stopped her career right then and there, but it
Hmm.
didn't. And I think that both those music videos and both, you know, like the undertone of both those things is like, even though these Arab women were ridiculed, even far beyond how Arab women typically are ridiculed, they still persevered because they pushed those boundaries.
Hmm.
And so I think it's
And they
kind of,
were
yeah,
they were both ahead of their times because now
absolutely,
Haifa's celebrated and accepted and she's this
absolutely.
icon, right?
Yes.
And same with Elissa, like she's one of the most well-respected Arab artists we
Yes,
have.
yes,
So I maybe they were just ahead of their time, but
yeah,
it's so interesting because I relate to the fact that I'm like, wow, these are amazing pop stars. Like
yeah,
the music videos are, perfect. Like their wardrobe is perfect, but we're also hearing the like the I have been we don't do this, so
yes,
like and it's like and you grow up with that, you grow up with that
yes.
duality of like I think this is pretty badass, but
And you
it's not
choose, I think you
accepted.
choose which one. Do you
Yeah.
stay committed to seeing this as badass? And even your opinion of being like, well, I think she's really cool. Like, لا كتير حلوة, whatever. It's like you're immediately met with لا. Then
So that
it
you don't grow
shifts to
up
you.
believing that it's okay. They're
Yes.
like, wait, what's the problem with you?
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's like it shifts to you because if you're like, oh, I love Haifa, but it's like, la, you know, it's عيب and this and that. And honestly, I was very lucky because my mom never was like, لا يا ماما هذا,
Yeah, yeah.
ما بنعمل هيك. My mom was like, didn't really have like a say on like she's like no
Yeah.
like this is music, this is what it is, but like the chatter. So I think moments like that are when you decide like, do you see this artist as an artist that is pushing boundaries, or do you kind of like follow the crowd and go, no, you know what, it is
Hmm.
actually I take back what I said, because you are ridiculed for finding that to be so inspiring.
That's a really good
You
point.
know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like you go, oh my god, I love this song, but it's like, la عيب if you do that, you know, like that's hype if you do it. And so you kind of like are in the crossroads of like,
Yeah.
is it hype? Is it not? No, it is absolutely fabulous. And I'm going to stand on that,
Yeah.
you
We
know?
really need to like recalibrate how we use the word ayib like in our culture.
Absolutely.
There's a time and a place for ayib.
Yes. It's,
And
I think, like discretion. I think there's a,
yes.
like, it's kind of like being, like, it's like you know, there's the lighthearted, like non-derogatory hype where it's like, I'm paying for you. And you're
Mm-hmm,
like,
mm-hmm.
let me. And I'm like, la hype. You know, you did last
Or
time.
like a lack of distrust or a lack of respect, right?
Respect.
Like,
Yes.
yes, there are some which that applies to like men and women and
Yes,
children and
absolutely.
anyone like this, we don't behave this way. We're not just
Like we don't
respectful in
do
this
that.
way.
Like don't.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean I've been saying I think like Ajanib, they should be using the word ayib as well. Like I feel like if they
Absolutely.
grew up hearing it more often, we
Yes.
wouldn't have the issues we have in society. So
Absolutely.
I do think there's a time and place for ayib. I think the way Arab have traditionally used it,
Yes.
in terms of like especially women and girls, no, that's got to
It
go.
has got to go. I feel like hype is the Dubai chocolate of Arab culture. It just is. Like it's like everything is hype, hype, hype. But it's like you said, in the same way. I don't know why I keep referencing Dubai chocolate. I think it's because it's like it. There's two sides of it. You could be very irritated because you see it a lot, and then the other
Right.
side is like, this is good. This is
Yeah,
what we've
yeah, it's
wanted.
great. Everyone should be having Dubai chocolate,
Yes.
but I get what you mean. It's become
Yes.
so commercialized.
Yes.
It's
But
a
I
lot.
think in terms of hype, it's like there are certain Dubai chocolates that we can love and like and whatever. There are certain things that are hype, but not everything. We don't need Dubai chocolate at IHOP,
No.
but we don't need to say everything is hype. I think it goes hand in hand. I don't know why I use the Dubai chocolate
No,
analogy,
that's
but
a
I feel
great
like it
reference.
applies. Yeah.
That'll do well on
Yeah.
socials.
I feel like it
Yeah.
applies. Yeah.
Okay, last question. What does being well rooted mean to you?
I think it's having spaces like this where you know, I think it's two things. Having spaces like this where I can discuss different aspects of my culture and like feel nostalgic. Even you asking me about the music video, you know, like feel nostalgic thinking about that.
Mhm.
Um, because I think what it comes down to is reminders of my culture, whether it's through music, through, um, you know, seeing something on social media and learning something new and being like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this. All in all, I think I feel well rooted when I am, you know, celebrating my culture or kind of learning more about it or discussing it. I think
Mm.
that's what it is. Celebrating in spaces, discussing in spaces like this. I think that is when I feel most well rooted.
Where can people find you and find Lesh?
Lishla official. There's a two after the A. Very hard to explain the two
Unless you're Arab.
unless you're
Yeah,
Arab
yeah,
because I have
yeah.
to be like, it's oh Lishla, no Lishla, I'm like, you know, it's like after you ran a mile, like you know, or whatever. Lishla official on Instagram and on TikTok, and then Farah Fez on both Instagram and TikTok.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor,
Oh,
truly.
this has been so fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Well Rooted. If you enjoyed today's episode and felt it brought you value, please subscribe, leave a comment, give us a like, and a review. This episode of Well Rooted has been brought to you by Girard Associates CPAs. With locations across all of Los Angeles, Girard Associates has been helping entrepreneurs and creatives make their dreams come true for over 2 decades. Go to girardcpa.com to learn more. This is Haneen, and we are all well rooted.